always thought that family was about support. About the fact that even if the world goes against you, your family will stand behind you, hold your hand, even if you fall. Especially when it comes to Aunt Cindy. She was always so, right? At least, that's what it seemed to me most of my childhood. My mom is her younger sister, and they've always kind of stuck together. Cindy and I had a strange connection. I think I'm her niece, but she always treated me almost like a younger sister. She pampered me, gave me advice, invited me to visit on weekends. She always said, "Family is the main thing, Emma. We have to stick together no matter what." And I believed. When my parents divorced, I was a teenager. It was Cindy who helped my mom pull me out of the emotional pit. She came with pots of food, made us laugh, and made up trips to the lake just so I could forget myself a little. I really loved her. And that's the most disgusting thing. I would never have thought that she would be the person who would be the first to stick a knife in the back. And not just a knife, a whole axe. I studied well and got a college grant. I worked in parallel with my studies, collecting money. For what? Well, as usual, I finally wanted to buy myself a proper car to go on internships. I wanted to help my mom pay off the mortgage. I've been saving up for many years. Honestly, it's hard through fatigue, night shifts, sessions, nerves. And Cindy was there all the time. Sometimes she even said, "Emma, you're so good at saving money. Everyone in our family is a spender except you." And it was true, especially about her son, my cousin Greg. Greg was the exact opposite of me. While I was working 2 jobs to pay for my textbooks, he was buying himself another iPhone or PS5. His life was always a celebration. There are always new parties, new girls, expensive watches. And it's all with my parents' money. He didn't even really hide that his goal in life was to be an influencer, to make money easily. Well, you got it. He was always coming up with some kind of schemes that were supposed to make him rich. Another such scheme appeared last spring. Greg decided to start a business. Which one exactly? Of course, a coffee shop. Well, of course not. Now everyone is opening coffee shops, even if they don't know how to distinguish latte from cappuccino. I was naive. I thought it was just another whim. That he would soon forget about this idea, as he had forgotten about all his startups before. But Greg had a death grip on the whole thing. And his mom is with him. The first oddities started when Cindy started calling me more often. Not just chatting as before, but as if she was trying to bring something up to a conversation about money. Like, "You're smart, you understand how business works. Maybe you can tell Greg how best to open a sole proprietorship, or you know how to save money. Share your secrets with Greg. He's such a bright boy, just a little confused about how to handle finances." I chalked it all up to normal conversations. Until one day she came to my house. Without calling, without warning. I just knocked on the door. With a pan of lasagna, well, classic. We were sitting in the kitchen eating. And then she spilled it all at once. No preparation, no visits. "Emma, you know how much we care about you. Greg is your brother. We are one family. And I know you have some savings. Greg and I just need a little bit. He wants to start his own business. He's tired of sitting on our necks. You're not going to turn down your family, are you? Really, it's for the common good." I almost choked. She looked at me as if it was the most natural thing in the world. As if I have to. As if it were my duty. "Cindy, this is money that I've been saving up for years. I can't just give them away. I plan to use them to buy a car. To help Mom. That's all I have." And that's when I saw real contempt in her eyes for the first time. It flashed by like a flash, but I caught it. "A car, you say? What is it?" She repeated slowly. "Of course. A car is more important than a family. I get you." After that, she left. She didn't slam the door or make a scene. She just left. With a quiet but icy "think carefully." I thought that was it. That's the end of the story. I made a mistake. Hard. A few weeks have passed and the real tin has begun. The first is the strange deductions from my account. Small ones at first, a couple $100, then more. I'm in a panic, calling the bank, trying to figure out what's going on. It turned out that Cindy had somehow gained access to my data. And no, it wasn't a hack. Most likely, she just spied on them or recognized them in some way while she was at our house. She knew my mother's date of birth, my maiden name, and many personal details. And that was enough to forge some documents to gain access. I stood at the ATM, looked at the balance, and felt the world crumble. Everything that I had been building for years was disappearing. I couldn't believe it. My own aunt. The one who brought me soups when I was sick. who took me boating in the summer, who called me daughter. And all for what? So that her son could open his own damn coffee shop? I tried to call her. She didn't answer the phone. I wrote her messages, silence. I called Greg and he dropped it. And then, as luck would have it, Greg's new Instagram page appears. Photo with the sign of the new coffee shop. There are a lot of stories about how he pours coffee into designer cups, takes pictures with fashion bloggers. Caption: "Thank you to my mom, who always believed in me. This business is our family victory. A family victory. A family one. For my money." I was sitting at home in the kitchen in front of the laptop that they used to access my account. And I could feel my hands shaking with anger. Family, you say? Good. Let's see what happens next. This was only the first crack. Ahead was the destruction of the entire wall. I still remember the day when my phone was literally bursting with notifications. At first, it was just messages from my cousins, the ones who always considered themselves a little higher than me. Then aunts, uncles, and even some distant relatives I barely knew joined in. Everyone wrote the same thing. "You abandoned your family in a difficult moment. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" I read these messages with complete misunderstanding. What's going on anyway? What kind of betrayal are we talking about? Why did everyone suddenly decide that I was the #1 enemy of the whole family? It was only later, through mutual acquaintances, through forwarded screenshots from a family chat, that it dawned on me that this was all Aunt Allison's work. To be honest, I always knew she was a complicated person. I loved money, I loved to live beautifully. But just like that, just make me look like a monster in front of the whole family? As it turned out, it all started a few weeks ago. After her son, my cousin Zach, completely destroyed his cafe. According to rumors, he took money for business development from various sources: loans, parental help. When that wasn't enough, Aunt Allison moved on. She took advantage of access to my finances. I still don't understand how she was able to do it. Perhaps it was because a few years ago I helped her arrange some documents related to health insurance, and I left my card details. Or maybe she just knew me too well to figure out the password to my online banking. Somehow, she withdrew an amount from my account, which became a tangible loss for me. And when I found out, the first thing I did was call her. "Allison, what kind of business is this?" My voice was shaking, but I tried to stay calm. "Why did the money disappear from my account?" "It's you?" She didn't even try to deny it. "You know that," she said in a tired voice, as if she was already tired of discussing all this. "Zach needed help. He's a family. And you're young and independent. You can handle it. You've always done well. What makes you worse? You haven't even been married, you don't have any children. Who do you want to save money for?" I was literally speechless then. It wasn't just arrogance, it was betrayal. The family that is supposed to support me used me as a spare wallet. I immediately said that I was going to go to the police. And that's when the real war began. Allison knew that if I made a statement, her life would turn into hell. Then she turned on her favorite tactic, to make herself a victim and me a monster. She wants to put me away. She shouted in the family chat. After all I've done for her. I sat with her when she had a fever. I helped her when she moved in. Is this how she's going to repay my love? And of course, Zach joined in. From what he said, I was a heartless bitch who was always jealous of him, who never helped the family, who may have even given him an unsuccessful business plan so that he would fail, and then I could show off my success. And people who had known me since childhood suddenly started to turn away. Those who came to my birthdays, who ate my pastries, who laughed with me during my school years, now wrote vile comments, made reposts of their posts on social networks, supported these vile lies. My mom? She was in complete shock. But even she said, "Maybe you were really too hard on them. After all, Zach is your brother." I didn't even know which was worse, losing money or realizing that I was just a convenient resource for my family. And then the worst thing began. My relationship at work began to deteriorate. Several colleagues have seen these posts. Someone even asked directly, "Is it true that you dumped your aunt for money? How did this reach my colleagues?" Someone from the family purposely posted all this with open access in order to humiliate me in public. I could feel the ground slipping away from under my feet. I've always lived by the principle, help, support, don't let me down. And now I'm a villain. I am a greedy careerist who is ready to put a poor relative behind bars for the sake of some dollars. and everyone forgot that I had been helping Zach with money for many years. I paid for his college. She gave me money for a car. I paid off his small debts. All of this was suddenly erased as if it had never existed. I started closing myself off from people. She stopped going on social media. I unsubscribed from most of my relatives. Every new day brought me more and more blows. Someone published another lampoon. Someone hinted that I was dishonestly making money. And all this is because of Aunt Allison, who decided that my savings were her personal bank account. But do you know what the most disgusting thing is? Even after all that, they didn't stop. Zach continued to write in private messages. "You could have handled it all right. Just close your eyes. You know we're a family. We have to help each other." And I sat there, looking at the phone screen and thinking only about one thing. How can you be so arrogant? How can you steal money from a person, destroy their reputation, and still demand understanding? That was the moment when I realized there was no turning back. The family is no longer a family. And if someone decides to make my life hell, I'll have to show them what real hell looks like. I didn't immediately decide to fight. For the first few days, I just didn't know where to start. It was hard for me to even think, like after an accident, when you sit on the side of the road and stare blankly in front of you, not understanding what to do next. But then anger came. Not just resentment, not just disappointment, but anger. A dull, cold anger that accumulates inside, like boiling water under a tightly closed lid. And I decided if they want war, they will get it. The first thing I did was take a day off from work and deal with the paperwork. I found my bank statements and I picked up old messages with my aunt thanking me for helping Zach. Saved it all in separate folders. I knew it wouldn't be enough. Screenshots alone are not enough, but I had something better: access to the transaction history. I contacted the bank, first through the hotline, then at the department in person. I explained the situation, provided my documents, and showed extracts that confirmed that the money had been debited without my consent. And importantly, all the transfers went to the same account that belonged to Zach. And that's where I got lucky. The bank's operator turned out to be an attentive guy, and after a moment of silence, he said, "You have online banking enabled. A new login method has recently been added from another device. Here's the date, here's the IP address. You can request the full details officially through the branch." That's exactly what I did. 2 days later, I received an official document from the bank. On it, in black and white, is the date the device was added, the time, and the IP. And the best part was that the IP matched the address of Allison's house. They didn't even bother to hide. Their arrogance bordered on stupidity. The next step was to visit a lawyer. I knew that if I just went to the police, the case could be put on hold. But with a competent lawyer and a package of documents, this is a completely different story. The lawyer, a man in his 40s with a tired face, looked at my papers and just shook his head. Classic. Relatives believe that they have the right to dispose of other people's money. But it's a simple matter. There's theft, fraud, and breach of trust. If you want, you can file an application and file a civil claim. I said firmly, "I want everything." And we began to act. When Aunt Allison received the summons, the family chat literally exploded. It was all there. How could you sue your own aunt, and you're a disgrace to the family, and you chose money over relatives? And of course, there was Zach, who wrote to me personally. "Are you crazy? Do you want to put your own aunt away? For what?" I only answered one thing: for the sake of justice. And for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. But it didn't end there. They tried to turn on their favorite thing, public pressure. They started writing posts on social media that I'm corrupt, that I've never been a real part of the family. Some even tried to hint that I stole their money myself, and now I'm turning the tables. And do you know what was the funniest part? These people are so used to getting away with everything that they didn't even expect anyone to go all the way. But I had the truth and the evidence. 2 weeks after submitting the application, the police called me. They opened a case. Allison was called in for questioning. And then the real panic began. My mom started writing to me. "Maybe let's resolve everything peacefully? It's a family after all." But I couldn't forget how the family made fun of me. How she humiliated me in front of my friends and colleagues. How she tried to make a monster out of me. And that's when something happened that I didn't expect. Another aunt appeared in the family chat, Linda, Allison's younger sister. She was always quiet, never got into conflicts. And suddenly she wrote, "I can't keep quiet anymore. I saw Allison withdraw money. I knew she was lying, but she was afraid to speak. Now I'm ashamed. Everything that my name says is true. After that, the real chaos began. Some relatives who were sure of my guilt suddenly began to remain silent. Someone even wrote an apology. They say we didn't know all the details. I'm sorry that we believed the wrong people. And the sweetest part was ahead. A month later, the court ordered Allison to return all the stolen money to me, plus moral compensation, plus legal fees. She tried to stall for time, tried to negotiate, but it was too late. Her reputation was destroyed. People who had been singing her praises yesterday were now turning away. No one likes losers, especially if the loss is so shameful. Zach? He disappeared. I deleted all social networks and stopped contacting them. It was said that he went to another city to start life from scratch. Who knows? What about me? I never let anyone from this family get close again. I changed rooms, moved in. I built my life anew. And every time someone started talking to me about family ties, I just smiled and thought, family is not about those with whom you share the same blood. Family is those who won't betray you for their own gain. Karma came for them. And it was perfect.